What's up, guys? Welcome to another Zoids model kits video. So this is one I've been putting off for a while. This is the one I actually meant to make about 3 videos ago. But I was looking for the box for this guy. I know I have it, but I eventually just said, screw it, I'm not going to go hunting for the box. I'm just going to go ahead and make the video because this is one of my favorite model kits that I own, and it's one of my favorite Zoids of all time, and that is the Kotobukiya HMM Lightning Sykes. So this is a newer print run of the Lightning Sykes with the silver Zoids brand logo on the box. And it is the standard Lightning Sykes seen by the Guileless Empire and the Tasker team in New Century Zero. So there is another variant of this kit that's the Irvine Special that has some other armaments and some additional armor on the side and on the front that's got some tubes and stuff going on. I don't remember actually seeing any of that stuff in the anime, but I'm sure you guys will correct me on that and say that it did make an appearance. That's a pretty cool looking kit, but I've actually never seen that kit in the wild. So a little bit of history about this guy. So I have always wanted a Lightning Sykes model kit ever since I was a kid. I remember for Christmas of 2002, I had on my Christmas list that I wanted the Lightning Sykes model kit. Of course, there wasn't really a Hasbro version of it, really, that I can recall. So the only one that was available was the Takara Tomy motorized one, which obviously was very difficult to import at the time. The only Takara Tomy imported model kit that I ever got was that blue Blade Liger, and I'm very glad that I did that. So I never got a Lightning Sykes as a kid. So in the beginning of 2015 at Comic-Con, right after I had finished my first Kotobukiya HMM, which was, again, another blue Blade Liger, I decided to pick up the HMM Lightning Sykes, as well as those other Mahler Spirit series Zoids that I've already reviewed. So it took me a couple months to finally get around to building him, and here he is. Since then, I've, of course, built a couple other HMMs, and I have a better feel for the build quality and the difficulty of the construction. For those of you that are not familiar with them, the Kotobukiya HMMs, or high-end master models, are very difficult to construct. They are on par with, I guess you could say, a master grade or a perfect grade Gundam, probably. Probably master grade, if I'm not mistaken. So they're 1/72nd scale, which is the standard scale for most Zoids, and they're very high detail, very detailed build quality, and they also have a high articulation. So I'll talk about the kit itself in a second. First, we'll talk about the Lightning Sykes in terms of Zoids lore. So the Lightning Sykes, as a Zoid, first made its appearance in the 1999 Takara Tomy line to coincide with the anime. It was not a classic Zoid from the 80s by any means. It was made just for the anime, similar to the Blade Liger, and it was, in the anime, first featured in the second series of Chaotic Century called Guardian Force. And the storyline basically there was that Irvine, who is one of the main characters, had a black, gray, and red command wolf in these same colors. And he had used it throughout the entire series, but it was, being that the command wolf is a very bog standard stock Zoid, it could not lay a finger on, or lay a talon, I guess you could say, on the Geno Breaker that Raven had recently acquired. So when Raven first upgraded the Geno Breaker, he was basically unstoppable, and nobody could even pose a threat to him whatsoever. So he inevitably used the Geno Breaker to bring Irvine's command wolf within the brink of destruction. So they actually managed to salvage the injured and dying Zoid core out of the command wolf and put it into a new body. And they built the Lightning Sykes from the ground up specifically for that. So they removed the core and put it into a new body. And so it was faster, sleeker, more agile. It took the form of a cheetah, as you can see right here. And it became the fastest Zoid essentially ever seen, the fastest ground Zoid essentially ever seen at the time. And it just looks so sick. It is like the coolest looking thing ever. It is so unbelievably awesome. And I remember how hyped I was when I saw that. And I actually had something similar where I had an old car that had gotten totaled, and I thought about actually lifting the engine out of it and putting it in a new car. so that car would perform better, because it was a pretty high-end engine and it would be going in a smaller vehicle, so it would be faster. And I kind of related that analogy to the Lightning Sykes almost. So in Zoids New Century Zero, the Lightning Sykes was featured again on the Taskers team, Team Underboob, and its rival Zoid was the Shadow Fox. For the obviously the Shadow Fox being the Helic Republic Zoid, and the Lightning Sykes being the Gallows Empire Zoid, although we never saw either of those Zoids under the control of those respective factions in the anime or manga. They are just supposedly designated in from a lore perspective to those respective sides, if that makes any sense. So, as far as that rivalry goes, from what we can infer from the Lightning Sykes and the Shadow Fox, based on their appearances in the Zoids Versus trilogy, we know that the Lightning Sykes is a lot more sturdy. It has a better turning accuracy, and is a little bit tougher overall, but it's more modular and less customizable. Where the Shadow Fox is not quite as tenacious, but it's highly customizable with different weapons you can equip to it. So the Shadow Fox definitely offers a lot more versatility there, where you can equip it with a beam Gatling unit. You can also equip it with the long range rifle or dual sniper rifle, where you can't do that with the Lightning Sykes. It's only equipable with its signature twin barrel pulse rifle, and which, as you can see, articulates. It has a nice articulating base to it, and it also has a Vulcan gun in its head. And then for the model kit as well, it has a pod that drops down here, which I believe are another cannon like that. You can also see on the back that it has its own boosters back here too, which probably come down when the Lightning Sykes is in full gallop, I suppose. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, again, the Lightning Sykes was one of the fastest Zoids in the Zoids Versus trilogy, and you guys saw me use it and abuse it multiple times in Zoids Battle Legends and Zoids Versus 3. Zoids Versus 1, it wasn't honestly all that good, only because the controls were busted in that game, so I couldn't really use it to its full potential. But just the speed and reliability of this thing's weapons made it one of the most useful Zoids in the Zoids Versus trilogy. So onto the model kit itself. The build quality and the stability of this guy is so much better than that blue Blade Liger that I got. Oh my god. So after building that blue Blade Liger, my first HMM, and again, I probably built that incorrectly to begin with, but from what I've heard from other Zoids collectors and fans, that HMM has a lot of problems. This HMM does not have any of those problems. It is very sturdy. I can move him around and nothing is going to fall off, except for the piece that just fell off, which was right there where my thumb was, or where my index finger was, so no wonder it came off. It was the little booster piece down there. But it's not like I don't think I used any glue on this guy whatsoever, except for maybe on the feet. I know I did not glue his entire face together like I did with the Blade Liger, so hopefully you guys can see that. I want to get better lighting for these videos eventually. He does have green translucent eyes, and you can raise the cockpit up like this, like most Empire Zoids, and see the Android pilot on the inside, which I haven't really gotten to utilize with all the HMMs. I did get to utilize I'm going to leave that piece off for now, the piece that came off the whole ventilation thing. So the articulation of this guy is also awesome. You can stance out his legs like this and get into some really awesome poses. Obviously he has articulation at the feet, at the shoulders, at the knees. Whoops, and the leg just came off. Again, that's actually the ball joints just popped off. Again, me bragging on about the build quality of this thing, it's falling apart on me in my hands. So I'm actually kind of glad that happened, because I can kind of illustrate in more detail the articulation on this guy. So as you can see, he's standing up with one leg missing, which is pretty cool. But if we look at this leg, the ball joint popped off right there. There's no like soft socket on the inside for that ball joint, which is kind of unfortunate. And the actual shape of it may have been worn down from it being clipped out of the mold. But you can see there's this other hinge right here, so the leg itself can kind of move independently from the ball joint, which allows for a greater range of motion, so the shoulders can kind of hunch down like this and give you a different stance. A very, very organic, natural range of motion there. So we have the articulation right here. There's a little bit of a ratchet there, so when we move it, it slots into place at the next ratchet. So we don't have to worry about the joints moving and the Zoid collapsing under its own weight. That ratchet joints are very good for that on, you know, toys and model kits and figures, because if you have a pin that just rotates, then if it's too heavy, it'll just collapse. Whereas if it's a ratchet joint, it's going to be a lot more stiff, and it will only move deliberately when you intend it to, which I think is pretty cool. And then the feet, I definitely really love the talons there, which again move independently of the heel joint itself. And on the box, it shows 2 different types of feet for the front and back. Obviously, I love the spread out claws we get for the front feet there. Trying to show off a close-up of some of these details here. You can see the fangs and the teeth, and they look really good. The neck as well, you can see the 2 tubes going right here. There's a joint in the head that moves up and down, and it's on a rotating hinge. It's not a ball joint. And then there's another joint at the base of the neck, so you get another range of motion there. The one piece I had a hard time with this guy is right here, where my thumb is, the space, that open space in between there. There's supposed to be another piece that fits in there. It's almost like a little missile pod that flips open. That piece would absolutely refuse to stay put in there, so I'd eventually just decided to scrap it and build a kit without it. So a little bit of caution for you guys that are building that if you have a hard time getting that to stay in there. The abdomen is very, very thin without looking too skinny, so overall this guy's very sleek and has a wonderful build. Not a lot of excess material or kibble, as they say. Definitely gives it that nice cheetah look, that it's very slim and agile looking. You can see again the cannon has an articulated base there where it rotates side to side and then kind of angles back and forth. The back of the cannon as well has 4 rocket packs that again are used for accelerating the Zoid, and also has the stabilizers that pop out on either side when the boosters are enabled. So you can actually make turns with it. I love the scientific aspect of that, where they had to incorporate different models of physics and things like that into the science behind how the Zoids move and how they accelerate speed like that. Because you have to think, if you're applying thrust to a moving vehicle like that, how are you going to stabilize it and all of that? So I think it's really brilliant. So let's do a quick size comparison. So I do have a Zoid that is much easier to see in this lighting, and that is the Hasbro Saber Tiger we reviewed a couple weeks ago, the Saber Fang. And as you can see, the Saber Fang is a little bit bulkier, a lot less slim and narrow. It has a much bigger head, but overall the scale of the HMMs is really proportionate because the shoulders are a bit widened out, and the Zoid looks a lot more anatomically correct and quadrupedal because of its stance and the way the shoulders are done. So a lot of times, even though the scale is the same, the HMMs sometimes look a little bit bigger, a little bit more menacing just because of their posture. And for one final size comparison, here we have the Lightning Sykes next to the HMM Shadow Fox, which, as you can see, the Shadow Fox is a small boy. And again, these two are bitter rivals. In New Century Zero, we saw the Shadow Fox easily dominate an entire team of Lightning Sykes, but I have a feeling it wouldn't go so well in the video games. If you guys saw my Let's Play of Zoids Battle Legends, you know how much I hated using the Shadow Fox against the Lightning Sykes because it's just so ill-equipped to deal with it. So this will probably be my next review. I know the Shadow Fox has a huge fan base, and this is actually a really, really nice kit as well. This will probably be the next one that I review. So quite a bit smaller. You can definitely see the visual representation of my point that the Lightning Sykes is a little bit tougher, a little bit more tenacious, whereas the Shadow Fox is a little bit more customizable and has greater potential. Get that out of the way. So that is about all I have to say about the HMM Lightning Sykes. Definitely pick this guy up if you can. He's still pretty readily available at most Gunpla dealers at conventions. Seem to have this guy. Actually, the Shadow Fox as well. This is a relatively newer print run. Again, I got this guy back in 2015, so he's not all that old. definitely check out Amazon or check out, there's a Gundam trading website I made a link in the description. You guys can check out if you want to pick this guy up. And if you get really lucky and pick up the Irvine version, then definitely let me know, because that kit is awesome. And one thing I will say before I end too is the paint on this guy is awesome, because all of this dark gunmetal gray is metallic and it looks really, really good in person. So custom paint applications are not nearly as necessary on this guy as they are on some of the other ones we have reviewed, such as the HMM Blade Liger. So some custom paint schemes for this guy would look really cool, but it's not nearly as necessary as some of the kits that really got the short end of the stick in that regard. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time on the next Zoids review, or review the HMM Shadow Fox. And if you enjoy this kit, please let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And definitely check out the Zoids Collectors group if you guys want to see more Zoids videos.